Corn School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by Distinct Herbicide and Pride Seeds.
Hi, I'm Bernard Tobin. Welcome to Corn School. Every winter, we spend a lot of time trying to figure out how corn contest winners do it. How do they get yields of 300, 400, 500 bushels and higher? What are the secrets? And what can farmers, learn about pushing yields on their own farms? We're going to answer that question again today, but I think we're going to get a really interesting perspective and a much different answer from my guest. I'm joined today, very pleased to be joined by a man sometimes referred to as the corn whisperer. He is well-known corn research scientist, Dr. Bob Nielsen from Purdue University. Hi, Bob. Thanks for stopping by. Great to have you on Corn School.
Thanks for inviting me to be here. It's interesting.
Now, Bob, earlier this month, you presented at the Ontario Agricultural Conference, and you made some really strong statements about corn contest winners. And, specifically, you said, there really are no secrets to winning these contests. What do you mean by that?
Well, sort of a curmudgeonly view, perhaps, but what I meant is all we really learn from these folks that win the National Corn Yield Contest is what is eventually published in the annual winners guides, and that usually shares the hybrids they use, the plant populations, the rates of nitrogen and phosphorus and potash, sort of standard agronomic inputs. And I've studied these for quite some time. I keep track of this every year, and I've got a little spreadsheet put together. And I've always looked for these relationships between what's reported in the winners guides and the yields of these winners. And interestingly, when you look for relationships, you don't find anything. And in other words, while there may be secrets to growing this high yield corn, they aren't revealed to us in what's published in the annual winners guides. And that was the point I was making, is that it's not simply about aggressively high plant populations. It's not just about unbelievably high rates of nitrogen fertilizer, because some of these guys are winning these the National Corn Yield Contest with populations and nitrogen rates, for example, that are way lower than you would expect, frankly, at levels that most of us use for growing corn, who are nowhere close to those kinds of yields. So again, nothing we learn from the winners guides give us that so-called secret of how to get this high yield corn.
Now, you said, as I say, it's really hard to ferret out individual factors from contests, winners for farmers that they can use on their farm. But if there is any secret to higher yields, it's really about identifying yield limiting factors in your own fields. Talk about that.
Well, right, and I often joke with farmers that this mysterious secret is not that mysterious. It's simply trying to figure out why you're not getting high yields today. And in fact, it comes down to identifying what are those factors in your specific fields, in your specific farm operation. What are the factors that are holding you back? Is it drainage? Is it maybe you could do better choosing hybrids? Maybe it's disease. What is it that's specific about your operation? And while that certainly makes sense, the challenge, of course, is that it takes a lot of work and effort to take the time to identify those yield limiting factors that are specific to your own operations. And the thing is, what's important for you and your operation in Ontario may not be anywhere close to what's important to me and my operation here in Indiana. And that's why we always have to be a little careful when we listen to people like me talking to people in Canada, because my experiences are based on the Midwest, and even more specifically than that, it's based on conditions here in Indiana. So again, everybody has to figure this out on their own, and it just takes a lot of time and effort.
You talked about taking a thoughtful agronomic approach, and just wondering some pointers on what goes into a thoughtful agronomic approach. I mean, you even said it's as simple as improving your agronomic knowledge.
Right. Now, you have to continue to look for ways to improve your understanding of how to grow this crop. And so it's going to conferences in the old days when we could go live, or it's listening to virtual conferences in this current climate, looking for online publications, online references about growing corn, and just simply continue to look for ways to improve your agronomic knowledge. And then secondly is what we've already mentioned, this need to identify the yield limiting factors for your own specific fields. And then you take all of those things that you've done, and then you're able to make some sound and thoughtful agronomic decisions based on data from your own fields and the knowledge that you've accumulated. And you can make those decisions based on hard facts rather than just simply what you read in a farm magazine or what you hear at a conference.
Final question for you, and I want to dig a little bit into this. And you put up a great slide, which we'll have on the screen as well. And you talked about, digging into the 4 components of grain yield. And you made a key point here. It's about optimizing rather than maximizing plants per acre, ears, kernels, and weight.
Right. Yeah. So, bushels per acre is not just bushels per acre, I guess is the way to say it. It's made up of plants per acre, how many ears per plant, how many kernels per ear, and how heavy each kernel is. So those are the 4 yield components. And yes, I talk about optimizing those yield components in order to maximize yield, as opposed to maximizing each of those components to maximize yield. And that's because those 4 yield components are interrelated physiologically. So in other words, if you continue to increase plant populations, which is certainly one way to increase yield, at some point, the plants are going to respond by reducing the number of kernels or reducing the weight of the kernels. And so at some point, you begin to lose ground. And so the challenge is, how do you optimize the balance between these yield components in order to increase yields? And part of that challenge is based or predicated on the fact that these yield components develop throughout the entire growing season. So it's not like you can make one good decision at one point in the season. You've got to follow that crop the whole season long, because these yield components develop throughout the entire season.
And one more point, Bob, and you spent a lot of time on this in your presentation, and that is those limiting factors that limit yield. When you talk to farmers, what do you see as the top 2 or 3 that farmers can really tackle? Typically, are trouble on the farm.
Right. Well, here again, take this with a grain of salt, because I'm talking to you from Indiana and I'm not up in Ontario. But for us in Indiana, probably easily one of our top 2 yield limiting factors here in Indiana is simply soils that are poorly drained. We've done a lot of improvement of tile drainage in recent years. Some people do surface drainage, but nevertheless, there are still a lot of fields in this state that are poorly drained. And so when we get the excessive rains, they pond, or they simply remain saturated for a long time. And then that impacts the rooting development of the crop. It causes losses of soil nitrate because of denitrification. It increases the risk for soil compaction. And unfortunately, it's one of these gifts that keeps on giving because it influences so many other things. Probably the second of my top list is actually hybrid selection, which might be might seem a little odd given how good hybrids we have today. But nevertheless, there's still differences among hybrids for genetic yield potential, and it certainly deserves attention to be selecting the best genetic yield potential. But because our climate is becoming ever increasingly variable, we don't know what next year is going to bring, other than the fact we're going to see some extreme weather of some kind. We don't know what it's going to be. What we also need in hybrid selection, in addition to genetic yield potential, we need to choose hybrids that tolerate a very wide range of stresses. We don't know if we need drought stress next year, or maybe we need wet feet tolerance. But we need hybrids that tolerate a wide range of growing conditions in order to allow them to yield pretty darn good most of the time, instead of yielding great one year and then falling apart the next year.
Yeah, well, there you have it. We really just scratched the surface, Bob. I really want to encourage growers to check out your full presentation at the Ontario Agricultural Conference website, and it's also available on YouTube. Thank you, sir, for taking the time. Looking forward to having you on the Corn School down the road.
Thanks so much for having me. Thank you.